Hi guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm Noelia. I talk about all things curly, beauty, and lifestyle. So for today's video, I'm actually going to share with you guys how I make my braids last as long as I can, how I protect my hair underneath the braids, and pretty much how I make them look fresh as long as I can. So if you guys are interested in learning how I do that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, turn on the alerts so you know when I post my next video, and I will go ahead and drop my social handles so you guys could follow me on there as well, and keep on watching. Alright you guys, so I am absolutely obsessed with protective styles, although the only protective style I really ever do is box braids, but this time was the first time I've tried doing knotless braids. So I am actually still putting together the video of how I created this look. I did use a tutorial that I found on YouTube that was extremely helpful. I'm also going to tag that as well in that video, so stay tuned for that. One thing that is super duper important is the preservation of the braids, right? So if it was up to me and I was just to go to sleep and not wrap my hair or do anything with it, my braids would just fluff up and become a hot mess a lot sooner than they should. So one thing that is super important that I feel like it's easily neglected when it comes to having your hair in a protective style is that it's so important to continuously moisturize your hair even though you have braids on. So what I feel like is a big misconception is that since it's a protective style, your hair is just automatically protected because it's underneath braids. No guys, you have to continuously moisturize your hair just as you would if it wasn't in braids, because your hair will become dry. You know, if you're not adding any product to your hair is gonna become dry and it's probably gonna be more susceptible to breakage once you take off the braids. The best way to ensure that your braids last a very long time is to protect them when you sleep. So this is pretty much the routine that I do before I go to bed. So what I like to do is I like to take some of the Mizani Miracle Milk, which I'll actually do it for you guys now because why not, right? So I take some of the spray. I love the spray. So every time I have braids, I don't really like to pick up a cream and apply it to my hair because I feel like it takes a long time to distribute. So I like to use a leave-in spray because it just goes directly onto the braids. So I just evenly distribute that throughout my hair. I don't neglect any parts. Of course, you don't have to go all the way towards your ends. If you know where your hair stops, you can stop right there. So I like to just saturate my hair with this leave-in. Right. So once you feel like your hair is covered in the leave-in, what I like to do is to use a mousse. So I typically like to use a mousse, right? But I've been recently using the Bounce Curl hairspray. It's also a spray. I find that using a mousse is also very difficult to distribute through my hair, so I had this Bounce Curl hairspray and I've been loving it. So I've also been just spraying a little bit of this. Ooh, hold on, it's locked. So I just been spraying this throughout my hair. Nothing crazy, right? Just to like ensure that it stays in place. Just apply some to this side. And guys, it smells amazing. So this hairspray has no alcohol and it smells phenomenal. So I like to use this just to keep my braids like intact, you know what I mean guys? I don't know if it's just a mental thing, but I used to normally seal my hair with a mousse before I go to bed, but I've been using the Bounce Curl hairspray. Okay, so the next thing you'll need to ensure that your braids last a very long time is a huge satin scarf. Like, I know this is huge. And it's still not big enough to cover all of my braids, but it's pretty big. So what I like to do is I like to fold it into a triangle diagonally, just like I would if I was actually going to use it for a style. So I'd fold it into this giant triangle, right? So what I do, put all my hair back, right? Flip this over my head, make sure it's covering enough, especially in the front. Make sure it's all underneath the braids, and then you just tie a knot and make sure that it's covering your edges because you want that to cover all of your edges. So once you have it in one knot, just make sure that the braids are inside the scarf as much as it can be, because of course some of it is going to hang out. But so you go ahead and tie it like this, and then you make a knot on top as well. So I made a knot at the top, made sure that it's pretty much tied underneath this one straggling little braid. Of course, there's always that one braid that straggles away. But yeah, so that's how I pretty much put on my satin scarf. Nothing too crazy. This is very similar to how I tie my hair up when I have my curls out. So the scarf is pretty big. It's in my Amazon store if you guys are curious. And it goes pretty far down. You know what I mean? So it protects it for the most part. But yeah, so with that said, what I do afterwards, right? So then I go ahead and sleep with my satin pillowcase, which I always do, never fails. And that's pretty much that. So I sleep with my satin scarf, and then I sleep on top of a satin pillowcase. And yeah, guys, so this method is just very easy, very quick, has always worked for me. And yeah, that's that. I don't really have issues with my ends really getting crazy, because you kind of want your ends to not that you want your ends to look crazy, but your ends don't really matter in a sense, because they kind of just do their own thing anyways, you know? I'm protecting the vast majority of the braids with this style, and that's pretty much all I care about. So yeah, so that's pretty much how I style my hair for bed. And then in the morning, same thing. I just take my scarf off. Right? Just take my scarf off and just go about my day. Which, this is the reason why I am absolutely in love with braids, because do you know how great it is to just get up and go? Like, when I plan out my mornings, I typically have to think about, okay, so I need 15 minutes to refresh, I need 15 seconds to do this, I need 3 hours to do that. Well, obviously I'm exaggerating, but you guys know what I mean. Like, you just have to think about your hair when it comes to styling, or where you gotta go, what you gotta do. Typically have to add that extra time for your curls, which again, you guys know I am absolutely in love with my curls, so it doesn't necessarily bother me, but I do need a break sometimes. So that's pretty much how I get my braids to last me as long as possible. These are a week old. If you guys can see, they look pretty freaking good. I mean, sometimes I could tell that some of them are just trying to like act up, but for the most part, let me just show you guys what it looks like. You're not mad at these, right? Let me show you guys from the back. Right, so for next time though, I really love this style, but for next time, I thought I was making very small sections as I was doing it this time, but clearly I have to make smaller sections because I don't feel like they're as full as I'd like them to be. I feel like there's a lot of gaps, especially in the back. So in order to combat that, of course, is just to make smaller sections and make more braids. So for next time, I'm definitely gonna make smaller sections and just see what happens, because when you're braiding, you think you're creating a lot of sections, but then at the end, you're just like, damn, I could have made more sections, and it's just like, whatever. But it's trial and error. That's how I see the braiding game for me, as far as I'm just learning as I'm going, you know? I don't know exactly what I'm doing, and I elaborate more on that when it comes to my how-to video, which again, I am not a professional, so that video was a little different for me because I don't necessarily think I know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm doing what works for me. So yeah, guys, that is how I style my hair for bed when I have my braids in. And again, very, very simple, very easy, very similar to what I do when it comes to my curly hair. Another step that I like to add that I forgot to mention is adding a scalp oil. So I don't add a scalp oil every night, but every so often I do add a scalp oil. I want to say like 3 to 4 times a week. I like to add a scalp oil. One of my faves is the Curls Blueberry and Mint Tea Hair Growth and Scalp Treatment. This oil just feels so good on your scalp because it's so minty. So I absolutely love using this. And yeah, so that's another step that I forgot to add, but if you guys are feeling a little crazy, go ahead and add some scalp oil. You know, keep that scalp healthy too. That's so important to moisturize your scalp. But yeah, guys, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys liked it and learned something from it. If you guys have any tips, tricks, or anything you think I should add to my routine, go ahead and comment them down below. But that is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!